Hello and welcome everyone listening to the new episode of the Mind Over Screen podcast. Today we're going to talk about the importance of understanding how the digital world is working, and not only for the youth but for all people. We need to understand that there are chances how we can use the digital world, but there are also many risks we need to know about and how to deal with them. My name is Annalena and I'm from Germany. I'm currently volunteering in this project for 1 year here in Bosnia-Herzegovina. And I'm very glad to have for this episode a special guest. Hello, Katarina. Maybe you can introduce yourself a bit to all the listeners.
Hello, Anna, and thank you for having me. It's good to hear that my hometown has a youth podcast talking about important topics and the young people from abroad are also involved. Maybe this is part of the introduction. I'm originally from Vučković, living currently and working in Sarajevo, but if you ask me what I am, I guess I'm a youth worker for the last 20 years. Doing a lot of work with projects and programs concerning young people, youth work development, youth work recognition, and youth policy development. So in these terms, not the expert on the digital aspects, but we can talk about how important is the digital empowerment in today's world for young people.
We definitely will, and it sounds like you have a very varied job. Very interesting. So first up, I want to ask you, what's the app or digital tool that you could not live without and why?
A good question. Probably WhatsApp as an app, and probably mobile phone, or smartphone as a equipment. Because of the work, simply I'm communicating a lot with my fellow colleagues, but also with, of course, with family and friends, but a lot with young people, and they are less and less talking, more and more typing, or you guys are less and less talking and more typing. So therefore, I think that, there's at least 20 active youth group app now. So in these terms, it's I wouldn't probably survive the week without it.
Yeah, but I think I have to agree with you on that, actually.
Even though some other youngsters are also using other apps and other tools that there are, but I think that this is the fastest one and probably the easiest one to actually get the work done.
Yeah, also for communication, like you mentioned, that's true. So then I would like to know how you would define digital empowerment for young people and why it is more than just teaching technical skills.
Yeah, I would agree within your question. You're saying that it's not only a technical skill. It's not only about using the app or the certain equipment. I think it has to do a lot with understanding how this resource is working, how as a young person you can make a voice throughout it, and why you are making voice. I think this is beyond actually using the app as such or whatever resource there is. In these terms, I think it's really, really important to know as a young person what you want to achieve with or why you are in certain project or in certain actions or whatever. And then choosing the right place to do it, choosing the right platform to do it, I think it's quite important. And it goes together with voicing out what you want to send out as a message to the world, but also it goes out with, it follows with your own responsibility of how you use it, why you use it, and also putting boundaries. I think there is a lot of on that as well, especially today. One of my good colleagues, Samir Beharic, I think about 10 years ago, says that there's a huge difference between young people who are activists in the world and young people who are clicktivists.
Ooh, okay.
And I really like that even at that time when I think that Facebook was like emerging as a platform, or it was very in use. And I think that Samir is still right because we have young people who think that today to be active is actually to send a like or send a message or post something.
I see.
And I would remember now, maybe even, I think it was quite a long time ago. It was the first round of the Council of Europe's No Hate Speech campaign, when I done one of the trainings with youngsters in Bosnia and Herzegovina, and there was a boy, high school student at the time. He said, having a platform on your own with your own name is all of a sudden young people having their own city squares where you go out and you scream out whatever you want. But it comes with responsibility also. It comes with a lot of responsibility toward those who you are sending message to, but also it comes with a lot of responsibility towards oneself. Overlapping this with today's research on mental health of young people, I think there's a lot of things to talk about. Digital empowerment goes along with responsibility for myself, how I keep my boundaries, how I and also about my focus and how does it affect my life and so on. So it's platforms, how they function, but also how I function with whatever resources there are for me to do the work.
Yeah, definitely. I have to say I really like that perspective. Yeah. So next up, from your experience, what would you say are the biggest digital literacy gaps affecting youth today from the perspective you have now?
Not having clear boundaries when you use it and how you use it or why you use it?
Yeah, like the gaps the youth has, maybe because of like missing education or something.
Yeah, but I think that this is exactly this. Young people are, whatever there is trend, there are also, you are also guys setting the trends.
Yeah.
So you escape from Facebook because your mom showed up there. So now you are more in Instagram, but now some generations are more in TikTok rather than in Instagram. And I guess there are new emerging tools also coming, like also new professions like being a YouTuber or influencer. So I think there's a lot of things, but like if we talk about average young people, not really having a dream to be an influencer or doing this, or not being a YouTuber, I think it's also a lack of focus that is happening towards everything else in life, because I think this world that we have now in our pockets, in our smartphones, actually is stealing us away from the presence, and stealing us, especially young people, is stealing us from our own like the life and development within. In the terms that we are focusing, young people are rather comparing a lot with others. It's not the real world. Not everything is the real world. And this puts a lot of burden. That's one thing. It defocuses them from the everyday life where they should be more focused, like in school or in education, or even with the family and friends. Because if you go around the cafe bars, you can see a group of youngsters sitting together and typing, everyone on their own phone.
Yeah, that's true.
So they are not actually together. They're with some other friends or with some other with something else outside of the current moment. So I would say it affects or creates the gaps for development in the terms of like general development of a young person, mental health, and education as such.
Yeah.
Even though it has, like the second side of the medal is that there's in a pocket you can find a lot of information and you can learn a lot, but still, and it opens the doors for new things, like new positions, new jobs, new markets. One of the things that I also noticed in last, I would say, 3 to 5 years is that it's unfortunately supports the generational gap, because the apps and the digital tools are more and more responsive to the speed or the pace of young people, and your generation is really fast. And my generation or the parents' generation, we are more slow, rather tired, and we cannot cope with, we cannot chase you. So I think it helped. The generational gap is there by nature, but still I think this also a bit speaks it in a negative context.
Yeah, for sure. Also regarding the educational gap, I feel like, I mean, I've been just finishing school, so I would say from my perspective, we have definitely a gap in learning how to protect our own data, so like the privacy and everything. And as you mentioned, mental health is also a big topic. It's definitely not like too less people are aware about the whole thing of mental health dealing with.
Yeah, I'm also not sure if the average youngsters across the world today are aware of their digital rights and responsibilities.
Yeah.
And also, I'm not sure too much how much digital tools are helping us to develop critical thinking. Because the algorithm, like to use the certain tools, you need to understand how the algorithm works.
Yeah, that's true.
So in these terms, if I don't know, if you're watching green vegetables growing every day, apparently you will be watching them until the new trend comes in, or you change the way your habits and you start looking for sunflowers. But in this, I'm just now making a bit of a joke. But in these terms, I think that you cannot understand what's really going on if you're only stuck to one side.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, for sure. Now, from your point of view, can you maybe share an example you have from your life, from your experiences as a youth worker, of a young person who used digital skills to create change or speak up? So not just like giving likes to certain posts, but really trying to create a change, trying to empower other young people.
Yeah, I wouldn't name anyone because I don't know when this would be watched again. We might be popular, but there are young people who are doing a lot of work using different digital platforms. There are young people who are discussing important topics for their peers across various platforms. I'm working now currently with 120 young people across the country who main target is to talk about peace building and using art for peace building. So they are talking about their own experiences, local contexts, inspiring others, but they're also talking about global issues in the terms of current situations in the world and current conflicts and wars. So there's a lot of support. I know a number of young people who managed to, or maybe they're not that young, but they're around 30, who are doing, for years now, they're doing humanitarian work. So supporting others, mobilizing others. Yeah, I mean, once you learn how the things are functioning, you can actually do a lot, or at least spark a lot. So in these terms, there are individuals across Bosnia and Herzegovina that I met, that I worked with, and there are groups that I worked with. So environmental issues, peace building, general aspects in youth work. It's not everything about makeup and influencing or sharing your personal life or, I don't know, certain statements and so on. So there are young people who are really inspiring to others. And I'm very happy to see that numbers of them are actually talking about the topics that they find important for their peers.
Yeah, that's true. That's like really
also a number of podcasts that came out, like from youngsters. Familiar.
Yeah, that's true. So we kind of mentioned that right now, but what would you say, in what ways can digital storytelling, like videos, blogs, podcasts, and so on, empower youth voices? So what are like the real tools we as young people can use?
I mean, I think that to use actual tool, it's up to you. You know, like you might simply like the interface of TikTok more than Instagram. That's as much we can go to tools, and Of course, it's also a marketplace of tools. So it's, I think there is another topic maybe for another podcast in that terms. But once you decide what is your platform, I think that there's a lot of space for a young person to challenge their own beliefs and challenge their own opinions. So basically build up on critical thinking.
Yeah.
Also learn a lot of small digital skills that you were not aware that you need for not only using the certain platforms, but actually to use it in other terms. I think it also invites you to kind of go outside of your own box and to think differently, and also to go outside of the comfort zone. Because if you want to be a good blogger, you need to understand how to write, and you need to decide which topics are yours and which are not, and so on. So in these terms, you learn the skills as a young person that perhaps my generation couldn't learn, not even in school or after school. Simply, I mean, in my time, if you were writing a diary, or you were writing for certain newspapers. It's a limited place where you can voice out. Now, as my ex participant said, you have your own square. You can go out there and simply state whatever there is on your mind. But still, I'm going back to the first question. It comes with certain responsibility towards oneself, but also towards your whatever is your audience.
Yeah, that's true. No, also thought that the exchange is really important especially for young people, that they have like this platform online that other people can relate, and they can, kind of be a louder voice altogether. And
yes, I mean, joint voices on certain topics. I'll mention now one of the groups that I'm working with are the group of young female dancers. So they invite all of their fellow dancers across the world that they met in some competition and so on. So they are trying to voice out their message across the different platforms, different geographical areas. So it's from group of 5 girls, basically, in Bosnia and Herzegovina. They're preparing something that will be voicing out throughout Europe among hundreds of dancers across Europe.
That's so cool.
Yeah, it is possible to use the platforms in different ways. Also, non-seen platform, like something that it's not there on our personal profiles, that it's public or available to certain group of followers or whatever. I think it's a lot of space to, digital tools out there for youngsters to learn a lot about communication, a lot about teamwork, a lot about making it possible when your physical aspects are not possible. I mean, we couldn't meet with our peers, over the phones at the time.
True.
Now you guys can talk, learn, be together basically with your family members or friends across the world almost all the time, or you are together almost all the time.
Yeah, that's true. As someone doing a voluntary year and working together with youth pretty much every day, I think it's really interesting and also relevant. How can youth workers and educators become better advocates for digital inclusion?
Yeah, that's another topic, and I think that countries such as Bosnia and Herzegovina is rather limited, or it's not familiar. It's not ready or familiar. I'm not sure which English word I would choose here, with how to make all these platforms more inclusive. This comes to the equipment and the resources in more physical aspect rather than the digital arena in the terms of different applications. Because young people who have certain disability or are rather socially or economically excluded from the society are less able to use digital tools, simply because they don't have the equipment, or they don't have enough resources and knowledge how to use it, and they don't have enough support. Having in mind this fast life and mental health of young people, but also parents and the context where you grow up, I'm not sure how much every family or the household can support, different young people with their needs. I had a chance a couple of years ago to have a fully blind participant in one of the trainings, and for instance, he has a Facebook profile.
Okay.
So he uses special computer to communicate over the apps.
Oh, that's
so
cool.
not every young person has this possibility. So in these terms, I think that in the context of youth work, we also need to be aware of, because we, as a youth workers, also as a program managers or people working in projects, volunteers such as you, I think we take it for granted because there is a laptop and there are free sources of apps, but we forget that still those people who are excluded from our society and the community in general, they are also quite excluded from the digital development and the digital tools. It's not that there is no apps for them or that there is no resources as such that they don't exist. They do, but it's quite limited. So in these terms, I don't know how many, I have no idea how many blind youngsters are living in this country, but how many of them actually have this special computer where you can type in brailles and actually have a voice where you can use the voice for. So it's a special smartphone, it's a special computer to actually just to have an Instagram, TikTok, or Facebook.
Yeah, so that's also something, you have to be lucky to have and can use it so you can raise your voice as well.
I think it's also a call for typical young people or average young people to be more patient and observant about the context and their peers who have less opportunities.
Yeah, of course, that's true. So I have one final question for you. If you could change one thing, how society supports the youth in digital spaces, what would it be and why?
Tough one.
Yeah.
Especially when we have now countries deciding to take out phones from the schools.
Yeah.
Making different restrictions in using digital applications. Yeah, I would say more responsibility, more education on what this brings to a young person's life, how should be used, so you understand how the algorithm works or how the digital arena for you supports your development as a young person, and then a responsibility towards your own boundaries and towards others. So make it fun, but make it more with more awareness. And I would say we need to not only educate, because it's not only about young people, we need to educate their parents, teachers, youth workers, because most of the adults around young people are still in the slower pace. We stick to habits, so we use this, we are still in Facebook while you're in TikTok. And then we get surprised what's going on in schools, but this communication among 15-year-olds already happened too fast in some other virtual spaces. I think that adults need to understand that it's not one virtual space, it's many virtual spaces where young people are spending time. I mean, we didn't even touch upon the gaming industry.
Yeah, that's another big topic. But thank you for your opinion. And talking from my perspective, I'm really glad we had you here as a youth worker. And thank you for all you guys listening to this podcast. I hope it helped you to, open up your mind for digital empowerment and digital literacy. So thank you from my side. Do you have anything to add?
Learn, think, stop every once in a while, test yourself, do a digital detox.
That sounds very wise.
Yeah. Check yourself without phone. Like how does it feel to be without it? And yeah, have fun on the way. I think that's one. And thank you for having me.
Thank you so much.